Today we're getting into the latest Tesla news, including Tesla detailing their next 3 vehicles, clarification for the confusing EV tax credit, potentially disappointing Cybertruck leaks, and more, so let's get into it. First up today, Tesla hacker @GreenTheOnly has found some new info about how Tesla's maps are doing much more than simply grabbing data from Google. In a string of tweets, he detailed how Tesla does alternate routes in vehicle. He said that instead of simply grabbing alternate routes from Google, quote, they grab a route from Google if online navigation is enabled, and then feed that into Tesla Maps service in the cloud. And that Maps service returns possible alternatives deducted by unknown means. He detailed a lot more here, but essentially Tesla's process here allows them to tailor guidance to their vehicles specifically, making it a more efficient driving experience. On top of this quote, the Tesla Maps service offers map corrections such as the locations of stop signs, crosswalks, and other traffic information with impressive accuracy. This of course helps with FSD, but it also includes info on lanes, direction of travel, and color-coded speed data. Quote, Tesla vehicles play an essential role in maintaining up-to-date maps. Cars regularly send back detected speed limits and real-time speeds to the Tesla Maps service every 2 minutes. This exchange of information ensures that only relevant map sections are updated, resulting in more accurate data for Tesla drivers. This is another example of how Tesla's approach on gathering fleet data allows them to consistently improve many aspects of driving. This is one that most didn't even know Tesla was doing until now, and the more Teslas get on the road and keep driving, the more these maps will continue to improve. I wouldn't be surprised if long-term Tesla plans to use this system to ditch Google Maps altogether. Let's just hope that they don't make that change too early like they have done with many sensors a few times now. In summary, Green said, quote, basically it's like a Waze service but for the autopilot. Currently though, it's actually limited to autopilot. Quote, autopilot performs better when you have a route set because if you don't, it does not fetch this information about route ahead. I'm very curious to learn this as it mainly seems to be pulling this data when actually routing through Navigate on Autopilot or FSD. Next up today, after a crazy year of Tesla constantly raising prices, now we're consistently seeing them drop their prices, and it just happened again. It happened across their entire lineup, so let's go through each vehicle and see how much they dropped it. First, the base price of the Model 3 standard range is down from $42,990 to $41,990. That's only a $1,000 price difference, but it will make a difference since the tax credit is supposed to disappear soon. The long-range Model 3 is still not available to buy in Tesla's configurator, but you can buy it in inventory, and the performance Model Y has gone down another $1,000. It now starts at $52,990. For the Model Y, these price drops come in a few different ways. First, Tesla has now officially introduced that standard range 4680 cell Model Y. They've been selling this car in inventory for some time now, but it hasn't been available to actually configure on their website, and now it's officially launched. This car gets less range, but similar specs and is all-wheel drive compared to the other Model Ys, and it starts at $49,990. Just under $50,000, and it's just a tiny bit less than what Tesla is selling the long range for at $52,990. So that long range model did also drop $2,000 overnight. Now there are 2 really solid options for the Model Y starting right around $50,000. I do think it needs to be a little bit more of a gap for that range drop that you're going to see from long range to going standard range, and right now it's only $3,000, but I still think that car will do very well. I'm very excited to finally see that option introduced by Tesla, and it means that their production capacity is actually getting to a place where they're comfortable actually selling it. The performance Model Y also dropped $2,000 down to $56,990. So even the top of the line Model Y now starts about $10,000 cheaper than the base price was just a few months ago. But they didn't stop there. The Model S long range is now down to $85,000. They dropped that another $5,000 overnight. That's down $20,000 overall this year and is a pretty massive jump. The Plaid Model S as well is down to $105,000, and that used to sell for about $130,000 or even $135,000. And then the Model X is down to its lowest, starting at $95,000. It used to start right at $100,000, now it's down another $5,000 overnight, and the Plaid model is the same as the Plaid Model S at $105,000. First off, from a consumer perspective of someone trying to get a Tesla, it's really great to see price decreases. That's the ultimate goal for electric cars, and hopefully Tesla's able to do this because because they're increasing production capacity and decreasing cost to build. At the same time though, we know that demand must be a factor here. They wouldn't drop their prices unless they were seeing less demand. So it will be very interesting to see 2023 pan out. Tesla dropped their Model Y price down to $52,990 earlier this year, then they raised it back up $2,000 when that spurred a bunch of orders. Now they've introduced a $50,000 model and dropped the long range back to that $53,000 mark. So clearly they're trying to get more orders right now, and maybe soon enough that'll spur some orders, they'll raise them back up. It's always changing. I'm most excited though that Tesla is finally introducing the 4680 Model Y at scale and making it available in their configurator. We've been waiting on that car ever since Tesla announced 4680 cells back at Battery Day. Then there were so many delays and they started going with normal Model Ys at Giga Texas, and now they've finally ramped to a place where they're introducing their own battery cells made entirely in-house on a new vehicle. Next up today, as promised at Investor Day, Tesla has finally released their entire Master Plan 3 white paper. The first page says Master Plan Part 3, Sustainable Energy for All of Earth. And this 41-page document details nearly every aspect required to achieve a sustainable future. In the table of contents, we can see that they cover electric vehicles, renewables for the grid, heat pumps for residents, businesses, and industry, electric and hydrogen heating for industry, sustainable fuel for planes and boats, energy storage, and much more. They have model results for the US and more, as well as details about how much investment, land area, and materials are required to reach these goals. Overall, this is going in depth on what they talked about at Investor Day, but in the process, they reveal a lot about Tesla's own plans. On page 22 of this report, Tesla details all of the types of vehicles that will need different styles of battery. They list compact, mid-sized, commercial/passenger vans, large sedans, SUVs, and trucks, bus, short-range heavy truck, and long-range heavy truck. Ultimately, the point of this page is to show which types and sizes of batteries will be required to electrify the whole world fleet. But Tesla lists the Tesla equivalent for each one of these category of vehicles. They already have 4 segments here covered. Mid-size is the Model 3 and Y, large sedans and trucks are the Model S and X and Cybertruck, and then short-range and long-range heavy trucks are the Tesla Semi. Of course, there are improvements that can be made in each of these categories, but these are Tesla's contributions right now. As for the other categories though, Tesla lists to be determined for compact, commercial/passenger vans, and bus. We definitely know by now that their compact car will be the upcoming $25,000 EV that they've talked about for a while. Tesla has also teased a van, but the bus is particularly new. This shows us a lot about Tesla's thinking and their upcoming products. They consider 4 of these 7 categories covered, so their next 3 products will likely be exactly the remaining 3 categories in order to make their contribution for the future of sustainable energy. First up, a compact passenger vehicle using LFP batteries. Then it will likely be a van. Tesla has teased this in the past, and further teased it with the classic cover over the shape of the vehicle image at Investor Day. The assumption is that this van would follow the Cybertruck and would take the manufacturing improvements Tesla introduces there and apply them. The bus, I would imagine, would be heavily based on the Semi, but considering the size of these vehicles, I imagine this is the last vehicle on Tesla's plan. Still, they laid it out right there, but also laid out details as to how big these batteries will be. For the mid-size vehicle, we see a 75 kilowatt-hour battery pack, and that's right around where we know the Model 3 and Y to be. However, for the compact vehicle, Tesla shows a pack size of 53 kilowatt hours. This is the first spec detail we've heard about Tesla's upcoming $25,000 vehicle, and it indicates a few things. First, this will likely be Tesla's smallest battery pack to date, but paired with a smaller vehicle, it very well could deliver around 300 miles of range. This seems to be the sweet spot for electric vehicles these days, and delivering an affordable small vehicle with a range like that would be great. It would also be great because Tesla could achieve it with a smaller battery pack size, which is cheaper and uses less materials. After all, Tesla mentions that they expect there to be 42 million vehicle sales in this category, with their vehicle contributing to that number. Even if this vehicle were to deliver a real-world range around 240 miles or so, if it can fast charge on Tesla's growing network of superchargers, it will be a winner. The other thing this report seems to reveal, though, is details on the Cybertruck. The heavier the vehicle, the more battery you need to drive the same distance. We're seeing this with trucks like the F-150 Lightning achieving its range with a 131 kilowatt kilowatt-hour battery pack, or the Hummer EV achieving its range with a 212 kilowatt-hour battery pack. Ultimately, the best way to get more range is to make the vehicle more efficient, and Tesla is always focused on this, so it's super interesting to see that on this report they list the Cybertruck right alongside the Model S and X with a 100 kilowatt-hour battery pack. The longest range car Tesla delivers is the Model S. It has a 405-mile EPA estimated range, achieved with a 100 kilowatt-hour battery pack. However, that same battery pack in the larger Model X gets a reduced range of 351 miles. If we then take that same pack and put it on a massive truck like the Cybertruck, the assumption is that the range would probably be under 300 miles. When Tesla originally announced the Cybertruck, they announced options all the way up to a 500-mile range. It has been clear that a lot has changed since Tesla's initial concept vehicle, but this 100 kilowatt-hour battery pack listed on this report could be pretty disappointing. It could mean that the range of the Cybertruck actually ends up being around 300 miles. If Rivian achieves a 300-mile range with a 135 kilowatt-hour battery pack, maybe Tesla is doing the same with 35 kilowatt-hours less, better aerodynamics, and better motor efficiency. So this could be a disappointing revelation for the Cybertruck. Maybe Tesla is finding that it just makes more sense overall to go for a 300-mile range here. This would be particularly disappointing since that 300 miles quickly drops when towing or pulling a lot of cargo. At the same time though, maybe Tesla is simply aiming for an average here on this chart. Long term, they'll likely make a standard range and long range Cybertruck. Maybe they'll even ship that 500-mile range option, but they know that the average customer will actually only need or want to pay for a 300-mile range. So overall, looking at the long view, electric trucks could be shipping with 100 kilowatt-hour battery packs on average. This report revealed a lot of stuff, but also detailed a lot beyond Tesla themselves. They list 42 million compact sales, 24 million mid-size sales, and 9 million vehicle sales in the large sedan, SUV, and truck category. Clearly, they're including more than their own production capacity here, and that's the main purpose of this report. They have their contribution, but are also laying out the framework for a sustainable energy future overall. For them, the smaller the battery pack, the better, unless it's absolutely necessary. So I'm really curious to see if the Cybertruck actually delivers with a pack that size. Next up today, the IRS details for the EV tax credit are finally coming into place, and they're confusing for multiple reasons. On one side, they're confusing as to who qualifies and which vehicles qualify. But on the other, it's confusing since it's quickly eliminating a lot of eligible EVs. As a quick summary, the EV tax credit has a focus on US and North American manufacturing, and thus requires a percentage of batteries and their materials to be sourced in the US or a free trade partner. The percentage there gets stricter over time. The details are worth looking into if you want to know more, but the IRS is finally enforcing their battery requirements starting April 18th. Tesla has been proactive here and has been clear that their cheapest car, the rear-wheel drive Model 3, likely won't qualify come April 18th, since its battery is sourced in China. The IRS released a detailed fact sheet about this credit, but we're quickly seeing that this has a negative effect in the interim. It's immediately making a number of EVs ineligible and not giving those companies enough time to build a battery supply chain that qualifies. The Ford F-150 Lightning appears to fully qualify, but the Mustang Mach-E will now only get $3,750 of that credit as of April 18th. This will be the case for many EVs coming up on April 18th. All other Model 3s and Model Ys, with the exception of the rear-wheel drive Model 3, will actually retain this credit from what we can tell, since their batteries meet these requirements and are built in Nevada, but most others won't. So if you're buying an EV, this research would be well worth your time to see if you may qualify for $7,500 off today and nothing come April 18th. Even with all of this though, there is a loophole we're learning about involving leasing. Quote, EVs can avoid the foreign assembly restriction of the law if they are leased, not purchased. The way this works is on the back end though. The dealer gets the credit and then will seemingly pass it on to the customer who is leasing from them, resulting in lower lease payments if offered. As noted by Electrek, Hyundai, Polestar, and Lucid so far have offered discounts, some up to $7,500, and soon we could see this come from many other automakers. Essentially, Tesla could offer the rear-wheel drive Model 3 as a lease, they take the $7,500 credit, and then offer the reduced lease price as an incentive to customers. That's of course all dependent on demand though, and this could simply result in companies not passing that savings on to the customer. In any case, we're still waiting on the updated list of which models will qualify, and then hopefully after April 18th, it'll just be updates from manufacturers as to when their vehicles individually start qualifying again. This tax credit continues to be confusing, but hopefully it will be worthwhile long term as it becomes a point-of-sale credit and battery supply chains grow in the US. Next up today, we have a security report from Tesla that does not look good. According to a Reuters report, quote, between 2019 and 2022, groups of Tesla employees privately shared via an internal messaging system, sometimes highly invasive videos and images recorded by customers' car cameras, according to interviews by Reuters with 9 former employees. Reportedly, employees were sharing videos of people's garages and private properties filmed from their vehicles and also creating memes with them. Some images were more mundane, but some were very sensitive, and either way, this is completely unacceptable. Tesla says that the video they collect is anonymous and can't be traced to owners, but even if this is happening anonymously, there is no excuse. Tesla recently detailed their data privacy practices, and this report seems to claim that these actions ended in 2022. Even so, it's not a good look for these connected cars, so hopefully we'll get more clarification. Reuters does have mixed reliability when it comes to Tesla news, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't ensure Tesla is absolutely operating properly here. At the very least, this may encourage some owners to cover up their interior camera, as well as opt out of letting Tesla use it within settings. Last up today, some updates about other automakers. Over at Rivian, they are doing more simplifying, and this one is frustrating to see. The Rivian Camp Kitchen and Tunnel Shuttle have been officially deleted from Rivian's online gear shop, with no mention that these products ever even existed. Rivian had delayed these products, and their entries online simply said not yet available, but now they have disappeared entirely. It's another great example of how prototypes are cool, but it doesn't really matter until it comes to production. The Camp Kitchen was a big feature many got specifically excited about for the R1T, and now it's clear Rivian doesn't actually plan to let customers buy it, at least not anytime soon. At the same time, the Tunnel Shuttle has disappeared and isn't something Rivian is planning to make anytime soon. Rivian said, quote, as we continued the work of delivering vehicles to our customers as quickly as possible, we've made the decision to halt production of the current versions of the built-in Camp Kitchen and Gear Tunnel Shuttle. We're exploring updated designs and will offer adventure-ready cooking solutions for our vehicles in the future. I find it funny that they talk about halting production instead of just never starting it. Additionally, the tent for the R1T is missing from the website, but that one disappeared in January. These are all pretty understandable changes as Rivian has to focus on ramping up their vehicles, but it's always disappointing. At the same time though, Rivian had a good Q1. They released their production and delivery totals, showing that they produced 9,395 vehicles and delivered 7,946 of them. According to Rivian, this still puts them on track to hit their goal of 50,000 vehicles made in 2023. Quote, this is a great start to the year, and we remain on track to hit our annual production guidance previously provided. I'd like to thank the team for all their hard work as we continue to ramp. We're looking forward to taking this momentum forward as we hit the ground running in Q2. Rivian also says that they've made progress on their new in-house drive units that they will be putting on future EVs to drive down cost. It seems they're realizing more and more just how much bringing things in-house can save them long term. They recently made a change for their sound system for the same reasons. Over at GM, they had record sales in Q1 of over 20,000 EVs, and they expect that growth to continue. Their goal for Q2 is to build 50,000 EVs and to double that again by Q4. It's definitely interesting to see which EVs they sold though, because it's mainly the Chevy Bolt, and they only sold a whopping 2 Hummer EVs for the whole quarter. All of their future vehicles are built on this new platform that the Bolt is not based on. So while it's a good quarter for their EV sales, it's a good quarter for cars that they're probably going to be phasing out eventually. At the same time, they're planning to phase out Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. They've been working with Google since 2019 to develop their own software that would be better integrated with their own systems, including their Super Cruise driver assistant. More and more, we're seeing legacy automakers follow in the footsteps of dedicated EV makers like Tesla and Rivian by developing their own unified software. One benefit here is that the whole system will theoretically run more efficiently since it won't have to communicate with your phone through Bluetooth, but many people would see GM's CarPlay and Android Auto capability as an advantage over automakers that don't have it. It may seem odd that a growing EV company would be removing features, but GM's executive director of digital cockpit experience explained that it's a necessary change. He said in an interview, quote, "We have a lot of new driver assistance features coming that are more tightly coupled with navigation. We don't want to design these features in a way that are dependent on a person having a cell phone." On the flip side, Lucid has just added CarPlay. When I reviewed the Lucid Air, I found that their whole interface was somewhat slow compared to other EVs that I've driven. Maps lagged and its driver assistance systems were very limited. GM originally focused on making their EVs as user-friendly as possible and are now focusing on becoming more integrated. Lucid first focused on making their EVs as integrated as possible, and now they're making changes to hopefully become more user-friendly by offering CarPlay and Android Auto. At the New York International Auto Show, Ram released more details on the 1500 REV they teased last year. This is Ram's first electric truck, and it's built to rival the Ford F-150 Lightning and upcoming Chevy Silverado EV, among others. There will be two battery configurations, a standard 168 kilowatt-hour pack with an estimated 350-mile range and a 229 kilowatt-hour pack with an estimated 500-mile range. It will be able to tow up to 14,000 pounds and carry payloads of up to 2,700 pounds. They also say it will be capable of 800-volt fast charging, adding around 110 miles of range in about 10 minutes, as well as vehicle-to-vehicle, vehicle-to-home, and vehicle-to-grid bidirectional charging. They aren't achieving these specs with efficiency, though. These battery packs are huge. The larger configuration has a bigger battery pack than the Hummer EV, and that'll require a lot of materials. While electric cars currently on the market do tend to have range issues when it comes to towing heavy loads, Ram hasn't necessarily solved that issue much here. They've just slapped a bigger battery pack on it. That said, I'm very curious to see what Tesla ultimately ships on the Cybertruck if they're going to try to achieve a 500-mile range like this. That's all the latest Tesla news for today, so in the meantime, if you want to see the latest details for what could be Tesla's mini Model Y, you can check out that video linked up here or in the description below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.